It could be forensic evidence, or it could be merely re-examining clues, but cold cases do occasionally get solved. A witness or suspect may decide to come forward. The good thing is that families can reach better closure about what has happened, even though this can mean reliving many painful details at a hearing or a trial. A lot of cases are being solved this year, especially with the help of DNA. Today we take a look at 3 cold cases that were solved this year. On the evening of 20 September 2002, the residents of the Hampton Woods apartment complex in Gwinnett County, Georgia, awoke to the sound of someone using a firearm. One of these residents was a woman playing outside with her son when they heard a loud pop. In the parking lot of the complex, a man was just fatally shot in the back of the neck. When the police arrived at the scene, it was already too late. He was quickly identified as 30-year-old Welden Mills. The Gwinnett County Police Department immediately started the investigation. They questioned some of the residents in the complex, his family and his friends. Anyone with information were asked to come forward, but no one did. The police believe what happened may have been related to a dispute over illegal substances. There were no suspect and no real leads. The case soon went cold. In 2019, the police decided to look again at the case of Welden Mills. Maybe something was missed the first time around, or perhaps someone who didn't want to say something at first would speak up now. The police questioned a lot of people that weren't questioned initially. They traveled to many states to interview anyone they believed could know something. And it turns out someone did know something. Thanks to these interviews, the police developed enough probable cause to charge 43-year-old Titus Norwood. It was hard to find Titus at first. The police described it as his transient lifestyle. In March 2020, he was found in Lacey, Washington, and arrested. He will now be extradited to Gwinnett County to face the charges against him. Gwinnett County's Assistant Police Chief, J.D. McClure, had this to say: "The arrest in the case illustrates the successful partnership between the Gwinnett County Police Cold Case Unit and the District Attorney's Office. We will continue to devote our time and our resources towards solving cold cases. Additionally, we hope that this arrest brings some degree of closure to the family of Mr. Mills." On the evening of June 10, 1978, Fernando Calleros' body was found outside a business on East Delaney Street in Phoenix, Arizona. He, along with a woman, was found in a bed of a truck. The woman was assaulted, but she survived. Fernando was badly beaten and succumbed to his injuries. Fernando was just 23 years old. The investigation started immediately, and the Phoenix Police Department used everything they had available to them to try and find the person who did this. They were able to retrieve some fingerprints from the crime scene. The fingerprints were matched to 21-year-old Glenn Edward Williams. Glenn worked and lived in the area. He was taken into custody in January of 1979. Glenn denied any involvement or wrongdoing. The police, on the other hand, believed that they had enough evidence to charge him with the crimes. However, they had to let him go, and the charges were dropped since they didn't have enough evidence. This was unfortunately the only lead they had. Without anything else to go on, the case went cold. In 2019, the Phoenix Police Department decided to take another look at the case of Fernando. They knew that DNA technology has come a long way since 1978 and believed they could perhaps get a case solved now. More items were tested. The test that came back allowed scientists to link Glenn Williams to the crime. Police interviewed him again in April of 2020. Unsurprisingly, Glenn still denied any involvement. Based on the evidence gathered in 1978 and the new DNA evidence, police arrested and charged Williams in connection to the cold case. The Phoenix Police Department now sees this case as being solved. Their crime lab administrator Jody Wolf had this to say: 42 years ago, those detectives did a great job obtaining and packaging and maintaining the evidence. The scientists were able to use the evidence tested with today's technology, and it identified Williams as a suspect in his brutal attack.
42 years ago, this was the scene of a homicide. 21-year-old Fernando Calleros and a woman were found in the bed of a pickup truck. Calleros had been beaten to death. Detectives began working the scene and gathering evidence. The charges were dropped because the case was turned down due to a lack of evidence.
So we work really closely with our cold case colleagues in the department, both in homicide and sexual assaults, and we're constantly looking for ways to use current technologies and new approaches to being able to combine best science with best evidence.
When we talk about our crime lab, it's important to point out that the men and women who work there truly are scientists. 42 years ago, those detectives did a great job of obtaining evidence and packaging it and maintaining it. It's been in the custody of the Phoenix Police Department for 42 years.
We have an amazing team. They are incredible professionals, incredible scientists, and that's what we love is science. It's a huge reward and a huge experience for our analysts to be able to participate in these cases.
John Anthony Muncy was born December 7, 1967 in Columbus, Ohio. He liked to go by the name Tony. He was a huge fan of AC/DC and Kiss. 15-year-old Tony was last seen in the evening hours on October 15, 1983 at the York Plaza movie theater. His parents weren't expecting him home soon, but after some time they got worried and called the police. The next day his body was accidentally found by a police officer who saw a leg sticking out of a trash can. He was found in South Galena Road, Delaware County, Ohio. He was quickly identified as Tony. It was believed that he passed in Columbus and was then taken to be dumped in Delaware County. Tony was stabbed numerous times in his back. It was noted that there were blood at the crime scene that didn't belong to Tony. The police had nothing else to go on. They stored all the DNA evidence they had, but could do nothing with it at the time. In 2013, the case was reopened. They believed that the technology was now there to solve his case. They sent in all the DNA evidence they had. Unfortunately, when the test came back, there was not a match. They had the DNA evidence, they just didn't know to who it belonged. In 2018, one of the officers heard about a cold case that was solved in Washington, where the police had a DNA evidence, just didn't know who it belonged to. He did some research into the case and found that they contacted Parabon Nanolabs to help solve the case. Officer Rusty Yates then contacted Parabon Nanolabs himself and asked if they would help, and they agreed. After initial tests were done, Parabon Nanolabs said they narrowed the suspect down to a family with 3 brothers. 2 of them were quickly ruled out. This only left a man by the name of Daniel Allen Anderson. Anderson had a very extensive criminal history involving teenage boys. This information helped police determine that Anderson was responsible for what happened to Tony. They couldn't question him since he passed away in 2013. They are, however, certain he is responsible and considers the case solved. Tony's younger brother had this to say: "He'll never go to jail for this crime, but the biggest thing is we all know he'll never hurt another person again. There are 2 families that were hurt in this, and I hope this is something they can find some closure on themselves as well."